Hello, Kathy. This is Daniel Tafoya with Two Brothers Roofing, Inc. I visited you and your brother this past Friday. I went ahead and took a look at your porch, which is leaking, as well as did an inspection of the remainder of your roof. In this video, I'm going to show you an overview of your roof, as well as your porch, the buoyancy of your porch, and the plans that I have going forward for that, as well as an overview of the remainder of your roof and the main structure and the condition that it's currently in, as well as a maintenance option and a re-roof option. So starting off with the main structure, you have about 2,900 square feet up here on the main structure, excluding the porch. You stated that you got the roof done about 6-7 years ago. I'm looking at close details like here in the canales. You can see the rust that I'm circling. Unfortunately, at that time, they didn't replace all the canales, so all of the canales are rusted out. At a minimum, I recommend that we seal and spray all the canales accordingly. Which brings us to the parapet walls. You do have a 90-pound application that was installed along the parapets. Here, where the arrow's pointing, you can see there's a fracture that's demonstrated, as well as breakage occurring along the joints where you had a 3-course application of tar membrane followed by tar along all of the joints, which is why at a minimum I recommend that all of the joints be sealed with an acrylic membrane. I will move all of the gravel out from the canales and seal them with a full synthetic silicone application. The application around the skylights is a bit different. I recommend moving all of the gravel out of the way and utilizing a liquid silicone application at the base. However, I do recommend replacing these skylights as there is considerable cracks and breakage on them. This is just one photograph of one of the 11 skylights that you have, but they all pretty much demonstrate similar damage. And here's some more footage of the parapet walls with the 90-pound and the vertical tar joint application. You can see that they are in deteriorating condition. Here we'll get a close-up of the 3-course application that I was making reference to. You can see that the outermost layer of the tar application is broken through. It's fractured, which is causing the membrane underneath to be exposed. Once the 3-course application is in this condition, it's paramount that a maintenance is performed to ensure that leaks don't occur. And here's just another example of the breakage that I observed on the skylights. As I mentioned earlier, it's pretty consistent across all 11 skylights. Here's the neighboring skylight with the exact same type of breakage occurring on the outer frame of the skylights. This here is just an example of more 90-pound modified that's exposed that would ultimately be covered with liquid silicone, which is what I'm recommending. The arrows now are pointing to the parapet walls covered in the 90-pound, which I would go ahead and cover with liquid silicone as well. So I'm suggesting we go along the entire perimeter with liquid silicone. Now, do keep in mind, with the condition of the roof, a maintenance application can prolong the lifespan of the roof, but given the condition of the roof, I wouldn't say you're too far off from being able to benefit from just having a re-roof application entirely. So I will include that in the bid. Now, on the main structure of the house, I did want to share with you my favorite finding, which is just this fantastic design of the roof that you have. Here, I'm demonstrating how you have a slope on your roof, and this is consistent on all facets. Right here, you see these little arrows that I'm drawing. That's using the actual sunlight and shadows to draw out the crickets that are built up here in between your canales and on the corners of the roof. So you do have a considerable slope on the roof in combination to built up crickets. And so what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that's the direction that the water would go in, just based on the major slope of the roof, and then the water is diverted either way away from these crickets that were built up, and ultimately the water would be diverted into the canales. So you do have a wonderful slope up here in combination with these crickets. Although I will add that the crickets could be built up a little more aggressively. You would have better drainage with that. They built the crickets a little bit subtle, but nonetheless, it's a fantastic design of the roof. And lastly, this brings us to the porch, which is the site of the leak. As you know, you have a torch down application on this facet combined with a 3-course tar application going along the inner perimeter that adjoins with the main structure of the house, and 3-inch strip edge on the outer perimeter. I recommend having this application entirely cut off in sections, disposed of, the decking around the site of the leak to be inspected and replaced if needed, and ultimately have a TPO application installed. I will send you some examples of our work so you can see the workmanship that we have. And again, I will send you a diagram of the roof entirely, as well as 2 bids, one to do a full re-roof and the second to do a re-roof on the porch with maintenance on the main structure. And that wraps it up. Again, my name is Daniel Tafoya with Two Brothers Roofing. It was an absolute pleasure meeting you and your brother. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a ring at 505-315-6191. That's my personal cell number. Thank you. Bye-bye.